So in this episode, we're going to talk about the death of Google. Sounds big, sounds dramatic, but some very interesting things that are going on right now. And when someone like Gary Vaynerchuk predicts that Google search will be dead in the next 7 years, you've kind of got to pay attention. Let me share what's going on and what it means for the future of hearing healthcare marketing. Welcome to the Business of Hearing podcast, the #1 marketing and practice growth podcast for high-performing private practice hearing care leaders. It's Friday, and this is my end-of-week roundup of what's top of mind after 7 days of helping some of the world's best private practices to attract high-quality patients, fight the evil forces of manufacturer-owned chains, and be impossible to compete with. My name's Ollie Luke. Pull up a chair, pour yourself a drink, and let's have a chat. All right, so welcome along, and look, let's start with a headline, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, and if you're not familiar, Gary V has a pretty solid reputation for predicting tech trends, whether that is being an early investor in some of the biggest tech brands when they had next to no users, to now being a mainstream name, through to making predictions around pretty much everything at the cutting edge of technology. The man has a phenomenal reputation. So when he was recently quoted to say Google search will be fundamentally dead in the next 7 years, you've kind of got to pay attention. And I'm going to share a little bit about why he said that, what is going on in the background, and really, given that Google holds such a fundamental place for hearing healthcare marketing and practices' approach to marketing, I'm going to share what we need to do to ensure that you're so far ahead of the curve that is occurring. If it's the first time you joined us, my name is Ollie Luke, and I have the joy of helping a number of practices in order to spearhead change, attract private pay patients, and very much play at the cutting edge of what's working now in marketing privately owned hearing care clinics across North America. And let's tap into this Google thing because, look, fundamentally, Google has been pretty instrumental to the way that many practices market themselves. It's typical. It's let's get patients. Let's ensure we're in #1 in positions on Google. We may want to use some Google advertising to ensure that if somebody searches hearing aids in our area, we pay to have an advert at the top. It may be that we need to get Google reviews to show that we're the best in our community. Many practices rely on kind of those 3 metrics as a way to determine success online. Now, there's one common thing that throughout all of them, it's Google. And as we've all known for the past couple of decades, the internet is Google. Many of us just believe that Google is the internet. You take the generation that you have the joy of serving, Google is what is defined as the web, the www, the World Wide Web, the online world is Google. Everything goes through Google. So it's almost crazy to even think that Google won't be here in a decade's time. That's like a bonkers thought. That's like saying Facebook won't be here in a decade's time. It's like saying, it just feels ludicrous to even suggest that the world may not have Google in several years' time and the future doesn't rotate around the joy of Google. So what has changed? What is going on right now, which means that the Google infrastructure that we've all built our businesses marketing around may be in a compromised position? Well, there's 2. The first one is ChatGPT. So ChatGPT rocked on the market last year, and naturally it's grown. It was one of the fastest growing tech platforms. I think it went to 100 million users in the shortest time ever. Nothing like Facebook, Snapchat, some of those that grew pretty quick was nothing compared to ChatGPT. And originally ChatGPT was the AI bot, essentially. You ask it questions. It had a data set from 2021. It'd give you answers. It'd help you rewrite stuff. It'd do a bunch of things in the early ChatGPT versions. But what we seen was a lot of people was using ChatGPT to do research rather than Google. Now, if they were going to do some localized search, like who's the best hearing care clinic in Berkeley, California, they wouldn't have used ChatGPT back then. But if somebody's help me understand, or help me put a diet plan together, or I'm concerned about this health thing, can you read this doctor's report to help me understand what it means? ChatGPT was a very useful tool, and they took around 3% of market share as a result of that. So Google had around 93% of all search. YouTube was about 6%. Then you have Bing, DuckDuckGo, and a few of the small ones. But ChatGPT had just about 3%. And I hope those numbers add up. I'm trying to remember a graph that I seen. And end of October 31st, ChatGPT launched ChatGPT Search. So for the first time, they publicly launched now a ChatGPT built search engine, something that could compete with Google, but very different to Google. So through ChatGPT Search, you can make it your home screen, or you could even use a Chrome plugin so it sits at the top of Google. So if you search in the nav bar, ChatGPT is the search engine that will almost drive the results that you're looking for. And it's been interesting since it's been rolled out because it is very, very good. And there's some big differences between Google and ChatGPT for search. ChatGPT, unlike Google, doesn't have any ads. So you make a search, you're not trying to wade through a bunch of ads to find out what's relevant for you. It almost does the due diligence and research and gives you the answer rather than giving you the options, so you need to do the due diligence and research. Second thing that stands out about it is it builds a profile and knowledge base on you, which means like on Google, if you wanted to go and look for local restaurants, but then you were interested where has a vegan menu and what's the price roughly of the wine because this is my budget, you're going to spend 10, 15 minutes just trying to go through everyone, look at the menu. It's going to take a little bit of work. With ChatGPT, you can say, look, I'm looking for restaurants. I want to spend this on wine. It needs to have a vegan menu for somebody that's attending. And that would then do the research for you, ChatGPT. But it means if you're in a different city 6 months later and you say, hey, I'm looking for restaurants locally, it knows. It has the knowledge base to go, okay, well, you're probably looking to spend this on wine, and are you looking for a vegan menu as well? And it will give you the options. So it's almost like an individual assistant that can sit there and know you as an individual and ensure that what you see is tailored for you. So there's so many more strengths in many ways with ChatGPT against Google. And since search has been launched, we're seeing more and more people shift over. So that is one of the reasons that Gary Vee initially predicted that 7 years' time, Google search could be fundamentally dead because ChatGPT is taking market share at a scary, scary level. Here's the second one that is very interesting right now, and this is very fresh as I'm recording this, and that is the Department of Justice is angry, disappointed, doesn't want Google's monopoly on search, and they're encouraging Google to sell Google Chrome. Now, this is big, big news because Google Chrome is pre-installed on Android devices. It's about 60% of people using Google use through Google Chrome. It's naturally Google's own platform. I can't remember the word. Browser. Thanks, Mike. Browser. So it's pretty interesting, right? If the Department of Justice are telling Google to sell this so they can remove Google's dominance on search, that all of a sudden opens up the market pretty significantly. Now, there's a lot of question marks around this. Like, will this happen? We're going to have an administration change. The administration coming in is a little more deregulation than the previous. If you believe the rumors, there's been direct phone calls between Google CEO and Elon Musk. Like, there's a lot of unknowns right now, which may result in that not being the case. But take those two factors. There's a better solution than Google on the market, depending on what your preferences are with ChatGPT. And then if the Department of Justice force Google to sell Chrome, then that makes it very, very interesting. There's almost a third dynamic here. Let's play this second situation out. If Google does get told to forced to sell Chrome, the likely buyer of that at an estimated $20 billion from what I read online, who could it be? There's not many companies that would want to throw $20 billion at buying Google Chrome, but there's one. And that would be Microsoft, Google's biggest rival, who is the biggest investor in OpenAI, i.e. ChatGPT. So ChatGPT could be the one that buy Google Chrome, and then all of a sudden, the playing field has completely changed. They buy market share on a scary, scary scale. So let's take all this into consideration, right? This is the reason why Gary Vee made that prediction. 7 years, Google search is fundamentally dead. Now, what does that mean for you and your practices marketing? Because if you've put out all your effort into SEO, if you put all your effort into Google reviews, if you heavily rely on Google Ads as the way that you generate patients, then it doesn't matter, right? If people aren't using Google, all that stuff is needless. It goes to waste. So what are the things that are going to work in a future world if Google isn't the key way that everybody makes search and everybody finds options online? Well, dare I say, we roll back the clock to the days where Google didn't exist. Reputation. matters. You as a practice that is well known in your community, you having a reputation for doing wonderful work, you doing the important things from a marketing perspective in order to prove you're better, not just say you're better on Google or try and manipulate the search engines. Like, there's all those stuff that are naturally key. Here's the big thing that I'd be giving focus to right now if I was you, because traditionally with SEO and Google Ads is a pay-to-play model, as we know, but with SEO, there's always different ways that you can approach SEO. You can do things on page, you can do things off page, you can do things white hat, you can do things black hat. And look, if your website is the best site in terms of it gives the most helpful information to the user, it's easy to navigate, it loads fast, it ticks all the key foundations that are needed in order to work. You have an overwhelming amount of evidence that you are who you say you are. You give good information about the services that you offer that allows the individual to feel educated, smart, capable, and good, and ready to move forward. You're probably going to win regardless of what the platform is. Because the goal of any platform, whether it'll be ChatGPT, whether it'll be Google, whether it'll be DuckDuckGo, is to ensure that what they put at the top when somebody makes a search is the most relevant and helpful thing for the user. That is never going to change. The things that are going to change is if you're doing the dirty, dark arts to try and manipulate Google by hiding keywords and trying to manipulate the system, that stuff's naturally not going to be helpful. If you're relying heavily on Google Ads as the way that you get all your new patients, then if people aren't searching on Google, that's not going to be particularly helpful. Focus on building a brand and reputation that ensures that you're putting your best foot forward and you look like the practice that you want to grow into. Ensure you collect your never-ending body of evidence. Ensure you're working on becoming iconic in your community. And it really doesn't matter all these little nuances of the platform. The cream always rises to the top. If you just be the best and prove you're the best, then you'll always win regardless of what happens with the search engine. So here's where I'd be worried and here's where I'd be confident right now. I would be worried if I had an SEO team manipulating Google, trying to get number one positions overnight by doing dark arts and dirty tricks, because that is going to be a losing battle if that's the way you're relying to win patients. I would be worried if I was relying on Google Ads as the main way that I generate patients. I would be worried if my only strategy was growing Google reviews and hoping to be number one for certain search terms. I'd be very confident, on the other hand, if I was the best practice in my area and proved it through information and education. I would be very confident if I had an iconic local reputation where people in my community knew me who didn't have to search online in order to find me. And these are the determining things right now. Whereas the game of trying to manipulate the system and get quick wins isn't a game for the future. The game of actually doing the foundations well, doing the basics to a gold standard consistently, and just being the practice that you claim to be and proving it online, you are going to be in a winning position. Because here's the other thing. If ChatGPT takes the market dominance that it could be expected to take, there's no pay-to-play model. There's no ad platform, which means the competitors that have bigger budgets, the manufacturer-owned chains that roll in your area, they can't just throw money at advertising to trump you and leapfrog you. Like, all of a sudden, the platform wants to put the best at the top, not the one who's paying them the most money. So it levels the playing field dramatically. So huge opportunity, huge change. But if you do the right things, you're going to be in the winning position. You continue to do the wrong things, especially on a platform that's dwindling, then, my friend, I am concerned for the future and the way you're going to miss out on this huge trend and opportunity that is coming. But yeah, there's a lot going on right now, something we're keeping our eyes closely on and making changes. And the little quickish trick right now, if you want to ensure that you're getting found on ChatGPT, give some more consideration to Bing rather than Google. Bing is, from a local information, a Microsoft product. OpenAI uses Bing as their search engine for local listings and where it pulls information. So ensure you're optimized on Bing to ensure that you're leveraging the growth of ChatGPT. And regardless of if the Department of Justice goes after Google or not, the better product always wins in any market. And if ChatGPT continues to be the better product, improve, whereas Google may not innovate in the same ways, then we are going to see that swing, and it may just take slightly longer. But that's what I'd be giving big consideration to right now. And as always, if you've got any questions around this, or you want to come to the bright side and work with us at the Inner Circle, then we'd naturally love to have that conversation and see if it's a potential good fit. But that's it for this week. I appreciate you joining me. Hope it's helpful. Hope it gives you some insights into some of the things that are going on. And as always, I'll be back next week with another episode, and I'll see you then. And there we have it. Another episode has come to an end, and I have a quick favour to ask. If you have found this helpful, then who do you know who should listen to this podcast? I strongly believe a rising tide lifts all boats, and right now, private practice needs to stick together to fight these big, gormless groups and these manufacturer-owned Goliaths that are looking to take market share from us. Consider who should be listening, pass on the word about the Business of Hearing podcast, and I'll see you again next week.